So that's the lovely, smiley Keeley Baker. Good afternoon, Keeley.
Afternoon, Paul. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. But actually making me happy with you smiling. It's about
Oh,
time.
we have to smile, don't we? As my dad would say, it's not me, it's all the other buggers.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I just spotted your cushion. Don't worry. Do something else.
Don't worry, be happy.
Be happy. I didn't see
That's
the
the
happy
vibrations
word.
rising, hey?
Yes, it's
Yes.
a good thing to have us reminded of these things. So you've got more to add to your story.
I've got loads to add, really. I don't actually think I've got everything out there in the public domain as it should be over the past 2 years that have unfolded. But the important thing at the moment is there was a civil claim that was issued on the 28th of June 2021. Now, we did the procedure of the M1 claim form, and it's a human rights issue. So by rights, the civil procedure rules should have dealt with that. They should have had a response in the system within 4 weeks, and it should have been allocated to a high court for human rights, because the lower courts don't have jurisdiction to hear human rights issues. Now,
before we go on to that, Keeley, can you just summarise very briefly for anyone who's not familiar with your case, in a nutshell, what this is about, and then just go into what you were just saying then.
Okay. So over the past 2 years, with everything that's changed in society, I've had a number of kidnaps. That's what I call them. I call them kidnaps because, I've not broken the law, and I'm trying to stand up in my right to prove my innocence. There's quite a few claims. Now, regardless of what's gone on, I thought that I was actually going to get a day in court to be able to be heard, even in the magistrates. These sort of things, when you're claiming there's an issue with the contravention rights, it should be allocated to a high court. They don't have the jurisdiction to do this, but they seem to be just riding over anything. And it got to the point where I was being kept out of the courtroom through different tactics that they used. But in the meantime, they are defaming my character and trying to perceive me as a troublemaker in some kind of way. When in reality,
the truth, that's what they're perceiving people as, and you're not the only one, especially women they're targeting, who seem to be the truth warriors, if you like. We are.
Yes. So, there's been a number of attempts of keeping me out of the courtroom, and they established a conviction against my person, my property, without any advocacy or any myself being in there to deal with these matters. It's just any way to get the paperwork stamped, and that's really how I see it. So on the 3rd of February 2021, there was 2 matters to deal with in Great Yarmouth Magistrates Court against my person, and this was charges brought from Norfolk Constabulary, who I've been in dispute with since July 2020. So I was there to read out my truth and give the facts in these matters, 2 separate matters. My paperwork had been handed in the day before, so they would have had the outlining argument, statement, affidavit of truth that I was going to be standing with that day. And I'd been allowed into the courthouse, and I was standing outside waiting to be called into the courtroom. And the usher told me that he come out of the courtroom and he said, the magistrates require you to wear a mask to enter the courtroom. And I said, well, I'm exempt. I don't wear a mask, and I'd like that in writing and the name of the person who requested that. And he went away, and he came back and he said, you're not going to get that request. If you're not wearing a mask, you won't be admitted into the courtroom, and the case will go on in a warrant would be issued for your absence. But I was ejected from the courthouse. And actually, because I had a few supporters there that day, we had the court had called Norfolk Constabulary to come and disperse us from outside the building. So even there, he said he knew my identity, and he said that he was aware that I'd been ejected from the building. They were just there to disperse. So even that call out would have been in the system. But But 2 weeks later, I got arrested from home about 9 o'clock in the morning. There was, it was just one officer to start with, and I was pleading my innocence. This went on for quite a while, but backup was called, and they came with threatening behaviour, threatening to force entry, tasers, and I was protesting my innocence all the way through this. So eventually I went under duress and protest, and there was a lot of hoo-ha at the police station about where I was going to be going, because I think the intention was to bring me up into the dock. So a lot of witnesses were at the courthouse waiting for me to come up into the dock, which never happened, and it got adjourned. Apparently, they were telling the people that I was supposed to be taken to Norwich HMP, and I'd be in Norwich the next day, Norwich Magistrates Court.
Who was saying that?
This was the police, the custody sergeant, or the court officer that was in the custody suite, right? So it was a lot of intimidation tactics, I believe. And but when I was released from that, because I'd made such a hoo-ha about this, I demanded my custody record. So when I was released, I had quite a bit of a rapport with the guy who released me, and he gave me my custody record, and it states on there, DP released